Welcome viewers to another Jeff's Diorama. As you can see from the title, this is going to be a submarine under the Arctic ice. The model I chose was the HMS Astute, which is such a large submarine. You get a larger model but still at a smaller scale. Once I'd put it together, I primed it and put a base colour on, then masked off the side panels so that I could spray them the reddish brown colour. Can't think what the proper colour is, but still, as you can see, it turned out okay. And once I'd added the decals, I thought it looked pretty good. Certainly ready for what I wanted to do with it. I then added a couple of perspex bars to the top of it, because when I pour the resin, I'm going to be pouring it upside down, and I needed something to keep the submarine in place. Originally, the base was going to be this cheap picture frame, which had a glass panel on the front. I turned the back panel around to show the black area, which I thought would give a nice reflective area for the lights that I intended to add to the base of the diorama. However, later I decided to put the lights at the top. We'll come back to that. For the ice field, which would be at the top of the diorama, effectively on top of the ocean, I used polystyrene. I shaped this to the size of the picture frame and then broke it up, cut it up, scraped it to give it an ice field effect. Added extra lumps and bumps using more polystyrene and completely covered this in false snow. I did that then for the bottom section of the ice field. I'll explain why they're going to be two sections in a moment. And then once that was done, put tissue paper on the bottom of both and varnished them to completely seal them from the epoxy. As you can see here, the top and bottom section of the ice I've cut in half, drastically reduced the size because I realised how much resin I was going to need to create this particular diorama, and that was way too much for me. It was going to be silly money. Anyway, so I basically cut it in half and I've decided to make a different base for it, which I'll show you in a couple of moments. This is why I wanted two sections to the ice field at the top of the ocean, so that I could fit lights in between the middle of them. I took the top half, put foil underneath to reflect all the light downward, added the lights, and once I fit the bottom part of the ice to that, the lights then would shine through into the resin but not come out of the top of the diorama, hopefully give the effect of the sunshine through the ice. Using plastic sheets, I constructed a container which would hold the resin when I poured it. Sealed it off with silicone, added string around the edges to hold it in place, and then placed the bottom part of the polystyrene plus the submarine upside down, as you can see. When I started to pour the resin, I realised my first mistake. Although I'd glued the submarine to the polystyrene, I hadn't glued the polystyrene to the base. So, you know it started to float. So I decided to let the first part cure off, so I could get on with the rest. Unfortunately, what I didn't realise was the silicone doesn't seal the container properly, and it leaked everywhere. Oh, what a mess it was. Tissue paper and all sorts just stuffed around the edges just to try and stem the leak until it could go off and set itself. Mind you, it did eventually, so I managed to save it. So I finished off the resin, poured up to the top, and that was the other thing I noticed. Don't pour too much resin too fast, because the heat will warp your plastic container. So 3 lessons there, well learned. After the resin cured completely, I took the plastic container off, and as you can see, it had made quite a mess. The polystyrene at the top had floated quite a bit down, the corners were mixed up, the shape was all over the place, it was completely misshapen, and it looked a mess, so I had to have a real think, and then I came up with an idea on how to cover all of this. After adding the top part of the polystyrene ice, I extended it down the edges at the top, on either side as well, and then down the corners frame the submarine within the resin. For the new base, I decided to use a display box. Ordered some oak veneered sheets and constructed a box which the diorama will be able to sit in. I stained the box dark oak, give it a nicer look, and then covered the inside with foil and an LED light. Over the top of that I used a frosted piece of plastic to diffuse the light, and it gives quite a nice gentle light shining up through the diorama and through the resin itself. Although that still have lights at the top, I thought this would be a nice touch. The box and the polystyrene ice nicely hide the errors in the resin, and I think the final reveal with all the lights turned on, I'm quite pleased with the way it's turned out. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned a few things about using resin if you ever plan on doing something yourself. I know I've learned a couple of valuable lessons. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in the display box, the parts and everything for it was supplied by Plinths Bases UK. I don't get any kickbacks or anything like that, but I think if you need any display units built for you, definitely get in touch with them, because they will work hard to meet your designs or expectations. Anyway, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, whichever. I'll always try and respond. Thanks again for viewing. Bye bye.